Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. I'm your host, Gazette Hawkeyes reporter John Steppe. I'm excited to welcome back Iowa soccer coach Dave DiIanni. Dave, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. I always love coming on. Appreciate it.
So it seems like you're in the midst of another pretty special season here, 13-1-3 with one more regular season match to go. What's been kind of the key for this team to be having as much success as they've been having this year?
I think I think when you put a team together, you have ideas as to what it will look like. We always have thought that we had the ability to be pretty deep, and play a lot of players off the bench. I think that then turns into a lot of competition and practice for playing time, which I think then turns into getting the most out of everyone and everyone training at a high level. Um, I think this is an interesting group because we have a lot of older players that have a lot of experience in the college game. We have, I think, 6 or 7 that are in their fifth year of college, using the COVID year that was given back to them. 4 or 5 that come from our program, and then a couple others that have transferred in, and then we have some youth that are playing at a pretty high level. So it's a nice balance of ages and experience. And I think ultimately the last part, John, is we're about the same team in terms of how we play defensively, but we have 3 players that are scoring goals that we didn't have on the team last year. Micah Ingles was on the roster, but she was sick and had to redshirt after one game. Maya Hansen, who came from South Dakota State as a transfer, and Berit Parten, freshman from Minnesota. So that's 17 goals we didn't have last year. That I think is a big difference in our season.
With Berit, not very often that you've got a freshman coming in and leading the team in goals. Is this something that you anticipated from her? Kind of what was the point where you realized, okay, this player is pretty special here?
I mean, yes. I guess the answer is yes. We did anticipate this happening. I think um, she has the ability to be probably the best goal scorer we've had in this program's history. The way she can strike a ball, and her deceptiveness, and she scored a lot of goals in club soccer. So when you do that, you have a lot of confidence around the goal. Um, as I've told everyone this year, she's also 18. So there's going to be some positives, and there's going to be some learning curve that has to happen. We're in the Big Ten, and we're playing a very difficult schedule. So the teams are good and the people are good. So she's had to adjust to the game and the speed of the game and the physicality and the mental part of the game. But certainly she's gone through that already, I think, and then is on the back end again, now playing pretty well. She's had a really good last 3 games actually in the Big Ten. So that's been exciting. And while she's going through that, players like Maya Hansen, who's a 6th year, who's 23 years old, was able to allow her to go through that process, but give us the same level of offense. So yeah, Berit's a very good player, and loves the game, and very very critical of herself, but she's very successful as well because she's done this for a long time.
Perfect segue to the next thing I was going to ask about with having 3 other players with at least 5 goals this season. Seems like that balanced scoring, I'm sure that has to be like a coach's dream, right?
Well, I don't know the number of players that have scored for us, but I think we're second in the conference in goals for in the conference, and we're second in the conference for goals against. So that is a coach's dream, where you're scoring some goals and you're defending. Um, but yeah, I think when you can't, as an opponent, can't key on one person and one person only, and you have other players that answer the bell, other players that come up with big time efforts during big, really critical moments. And like I said, Maya Hansen, I think, has 5 goals, maybe 6. Barrett has 7 and a couple assists. Sophia Bush, I think, has 4 goals and 3 assists. Micah Ingles, 5 goals and 4 assists. Like, it's pretty awesome in that regard. And there are others that have, like Berkeley Bengali, like, who's got 2 and 2, and some others. So Maggie Johnson. So yeah, I think it's an example of how deep we can be, and we are. Um, and probably why we are where we're at right now in terms of some of our success.
What have you seen from Macy Anaking in goal this season?
A lot of the last year, a lot of similarities to last year. I think she manages the game really well. She got great feet. She's gotten better coming off her line on a consistent basis. She's got a 27, 28-inch vertical. So like no one's out jumping her. She needs to continue to like believe in that, and she's so long, great leader, and she's training harder. I think she'll be a pro and she'll have a great career. But I think one of the things that people wanted to see is like how much does she love to train? How much does she love to get better? And I think every year that she's been with us, she's fallen in love with getting better and working hard to get better even more. But just a lot of great leadership behind, a pretty young, inexperienced back line.
And then third place right now in the Big Ten, not getting the chance to go up against USC and UCLA in the regular season. Is that something you wish you had with this year's schedule?
Yeah, I mean, some people say, "Oh, well, you avoided them," but they're, in the end, they avoided us too, right? So, us and it's weird because us and Michigan State, we're third, Michigan State fourth. Neither of us have played UCLA and USC, and we haven't played each other. So that's kind of an interesting segue. But when you have 18 teams in a conference that goes from one coast to the other coast, you're going to have to make choices and decisions and scheduling. That's just the way it goes. So I think so, but I mean, maybe we'll get an opportunity to play them in the Big Ten tournament, um, and beyond. So I think it's again, it's a very interesting that the top four teams haven't played each other. And so there must be something to that. But you always want to challenge yourself against the best teams to see where you're at. And certainly USC and UCLA are that way. But so is Rutgers. So is Washington. So is Minnesota. It's a very deep, talented conference right now.
And then I believe it's 2 of the last 3 years you've won the Big Ten tournament title. How much does it help when you've got players who have been part of those winning teams going into the 2024 Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, I think it helps. It helps throughout the regular season as well. And Riley Fetty and Maggie Johnson are unbelievable right now. They're fifth year players that have been in our program for all 5 years and should be all conference, all Big Ten. They've played a lot of soccer. Macy's played a lot of soccer. Mike Ingles, Sophia Bush and Millie Greer, sophomore. So we're pretty experienced. Kenzie Rowling, Ellie Otto, like we have a lot of very experienced players. I think I think the moment never gets too big for them if they, with the experience that they have. And I think that's probably the most important, whether that be a Big Ten going for a Big Ten championship, an NCAA game, or a regular season game. They know to expect, and they've been in those moments before. And yeah, so we're going to chase the tournament title, and I think that's going to be really important for our journey, our next step of our journey. But we also really would like to try to get as far as we can in the NCAA tournament. And so that's going to be probably more important for us as well.
And then, if my understanding is correct, with soccer being a top 8 seed overall makes a big difference in terms of hosting, right?
Yeah, so right now we're number two, I think, number two seed. I think we're sixth overall in terms of how the rankings work. Yeah, two and three, but two means you can host for like 3 weekends if you continue to win. Three, I think, is host for 2 weekends, and then you got to go on the road. So yeah, I mean, playing at home, we had a great venue last year again with Bucknell, 3,700 people here in very cold weather. And I think one of our goals was like to host an NCAA tournament game again. And it's not just about playing in front of your fans, but it's also about promoting our sport and our program, for the community. And we've worked really hard. I don't know how far we're going to go this year, but we've worked really hard to try to make this program something that is followed and people are proud of, and being able to play in front of a crowd. I think we're averaging 13, 1,400 fans a game right now, which is by far the highest we've ever done. And so the NCAA tournament can help that. And so trying to get a high seed will be important.
What would be kind of your pitch for keeping Iowa in that top 8 overall and being a 1 or 2 seed for this year's tournament?
Well, I think we have good results. We have good results. And, yes, we haven't played UCLA or USC or Michigan State, but we have good results against. We have, I think, four top 50 wins. In over the and that top 50 wins matter. One of our wins is against Wake Forest, and they're number 3 in the country. Wake Forest have beaten Virginia and Florida State. So we have our top 50 wins, and we have no bad losses. Our loss to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin, I think, is 23 in the RPI right now. So as well as we or as bad as we played in that game, like it was to a good team. So we've been really consistent, and a lot of teams haven't been. So for us, I think we've been somebody who's just projected to get better throughout the year, and we have. So yeah, I hope they keep us in the conversation because it'd be great to play in Iowa City as long as we could.
And then you were mentioning having the record size crowds in terms of attendance. How much of a difference does that make for you guys in match?
Well, I think it makes a difference in terms of the in-game match, in terms of support. You got noise, you got cheering, you've got even, but just for me, it's about presence. You've got. I told our team at the end of the game against Oregon, we don't have 1,400 soccer crazy fans over there. We have 1,400 people that are there to support you and are there to watch you perform and compete. And it's less about the sport as it is they're supporting you individually and you as a team. And that's ultimately been my goal. I've been here 11 years, and a lot has happened in our time here. And our goal was to be able to provide a better window to the community for our sport. Soccer is still pretty small in the state of Iowa. You got behind basketball, football, wrestling, baseball, softball. So we're still trying to fight for our niche. And the more that we can put ambassadors in front of fans and female ambassadors that compete hard, but also, win, the better it'll be for our program.
And then it seems like the trajectory, especially these last 3 or so years, has really been up for your program. What do you see as kind of the biggest key for really elevating Iowa soccer to the point that it is now?
Well, I think, since 2019, we are the fourth winningest program in the Big Ten. To your point, I think the last 4 or 5 years has been exceptional in terms of winning and win percentage and record. I think a lot of it, John, is going to be, we have to stay humble. We have to stay committed to doing things right the way we've always done, and the only way I know is investing every day in the process. But I think a lot of it is out of our hands as well in terms of, there's a lot of changes happening in the NCAA in the next year, right? Scholarship, different scholarships and things like that. And I do think, the University of Iowa see the value in what Iowa soccer brings to the department. And, I can't worry about that right now. I just got to worry about doing things right for our women and continue to put a good product on the field that they can be proud of.
Was this your vision 11 years ago?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of who I am. I've been at two schools, and it's kind of who I am. And I'm not a quick fixer, and more a bit more about like build it from the bottom up and foundation. And but it is. I mean, I took the job, and everyone complained that there was no facilities and there was no. It was far away from campus and all of those things, and those things are part of the process, but you got to build it from within. You got to build it the right way. You got to get people who want to be part of the your journey, want to be part of the process, want to have growth minded, want to get better. And then you got to help others believe. You can't just by in that means you have to win a little bit. You have to have monumental victories or moments where things get better and you see growth. And so I think we've been able to do that, especially since 2018, 19. And yeah, need to continue to be paranoid about not falling backwards, going forwards.
How much does it help to have a former soccer coach as your AD with Beth Goetz?
I don't know. I mean, everyone says that. I think what's been great is having a former coach as an athletic director who does understand all of the things that go into trying to be successful. And they go beyond just scholarships, right? Like why you do what you do, how you player manage, what are the decisions made, and having like Matt Henderson's a great sporting man as well. Like they no one ever tries to tell you what to do. They listen. They are there to help lend an ear and give some advice if asked. But it does help that Beth knows the game and that she understands that there's a process. And it's hard because like sometimes, at this level it can just be about money and be about revenue and all of that. But like it's still about coaching and it's about managing people. And I do appreciate that she understands that.
Am I remembering correctly that you've coached against Beth before?
I have coached against Beth, but I have not beaten Beth more than she's beaten me. So yes, you are remembering that correctly. I think she beat me twice. I beat her once, and then she got out of the game. Maybe that was by design. She beat Coach Dave, Dave DiIanni a couple times, and decided to retire. No, her program was in a better place than mine, and she was a better coach than me back then. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool how it's come full circle, and what an amazing leader she provides the University of Iowa.
Is she a better coach or administrator?
I didn't have a big enough span, but I have a pretty big uh I have a pretty big respect for Beth as a leader and a person and what she does as a role model. So without knowing exactly how great a coach she was, I think she's going to be a great leader for our department.
Well, Dave, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. It's always a pleasure. Anytime.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, we will talk Hawks later.